I actually also started by having a part-time job at a management consultancy firm. But later I recognized investment banking. I started, lots of research. I realized that there was this academy that could truly help. I have 3 interviews. So first, a personal interview, and then of course a case interview, and then talking with the managing director.
Any advice you'd give to your younger self, kind of maybe when you were entering school, or anything you would have done differently?
Something I would always recommend also just to my friends at the moment is
All right, Frederik, thanks so much for taking the time to join me today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being here.
So it'd be awesome if you could give the listeners a short summary bio, where you're from, all that.
Yes, of course. So my name is Frederik. I'm from Copenhagen in Denmark. I'm of the 4th semester of my Bachelor in Science in International Business at Copenhagen Business School. And I've done lots of work with the academy. The academy has truly helped me land a job as an analyst at PWC in their corporate finance team. So I'm doing this job as an analyst part-time, as I'm also finishing my degree, my bachelor degree at CBS. I've especially leveraged lots of the different courses of the academy, networked with lots of the great mentors. They have really helped me progressing in terms of all the skills that are necessary, for these high finance jobs. So it's been a great experience and truly helped me to land hopefully my dream job.
I appreciate all the kind words, but let's go back, hear your story. So you're kind of, why did you go to Copenhagen Business School? You started in July 23. So
Yeah.
did you know that you wanted to do something in corporate finance kind of back then already, or,
No, actually not. I was very interested in finance and economics, but I didn't know that corporate finance and investment banking was the career I want to pursue. Firstly, I was very interested in strategy and consultancy. So I actually also started by having a part-time job at a management consultancy firm here in Copenhagen. But later I recognized, the whole investment banking industry, and again was very interested in the finance topics we had in class in the school. So I started, lots of research, and then I realized that there was this academy that could truly help finance interested persons and individuals as me to land, a job in investment banking and corporate finance. So it was just, I think I was like 8 months into my bachelor at TBS when I realized that this was the career I want to pursue.
Got it. Okay. And so that management consulting role, is that Beacon that I see on your LinkedIn? Is that
Exactly. Yeah.
you were there doing various client projects? Did you get a taste of like management consulting there? Was it something that you considered as well?
Yeah, I did. In the first 6 months, I did lots of interviews of SME owners and managing directors, to get a lot of research for the company and get an insight into these business areas. But after these 6 months, I was a project assistant. So I was, I served lots of clients. I think I was rolled in on around 4 projects in total. Helping, with strategy and a lot of different stuff in there, crushing lots of Excel and making lots of presentation and all the kind of stuff. So yeah, really got a taste of the management consultancy industry as well.
If you're doing a lot of Excel, it probably helped you in your interviews for your corporate finance role.
Exactly, it did.
Let's talk a little bit about like just the recruiting process. So some of the listeners maybe that are in Copenhagen, maybe understand works, but we have a lot of other European listeners in the UK maybe are not as familiar. Do you want to share, and even the US, do you want to share a little bit of just like how it typically works? CBS, we've had other students there, but I'm just curious in terms of, if you could give us a quick summary of like how that worked for you. Like, how did you even land that management consulting role? And then how did you land this corporate finance role now at PwC?
Yeah, of course. So we are lots of students, first of all, here in Copenhagen that want to pursue the same jobs. I think, the top jobs receive around 200 to 300 applications, and they hire around 2 to 5 at a time. So it's really competitive. But firstly, if we go back in time to my consultancy job, I had interviews at 2 different firms. I had around I have 3 interviews. So firstly, a personal interview, And then of course a case interview, and then talking with the managing director afterwards, to see if I fit in the cultural society in the firm and stuff like that. But again, this was I had this job in my first year and the second year at my bachelor degree, so the interview process was not that tough compared to the interview process afterwards when I landed the job in corporate finance. Because if we look at this process as corporate finance here in Denmark, I had interview at 4 different firms, 2 of the Big Four, and then some other corporate finance specialized firms. And actually, the process is pretty equal. You will start by having either a case interview or a personal, a fit interview with them. And then the second interview, again, you will have a case interview. And then if you proceed to the last or final run, then you will speak with the partners or managing directors of the firm. And again, for cultural fit.
Got it. Okay. So you're basically, and then in terms of like on-campus recruiting or, the number of firms that are coming on campus, it sounds like anyone that's coming on campus is getting 200, 300 plus CVs and they're only taking
Yes.
them. Is that how you landed at PWC? Was it online? Was it applications through the school, or did you network outside of that and land that interview separately?
So actually, 2 of the 4 interviews I got, at different firms was through networking. And then the other 2 interviews were actually just through normal, recruitment cycle at their websites.
Wow.
And at LinkedIn.
Awesome. Yeah. And so then in terms of like how you were approaching this, I know you joined us kind of late 24. So you're getting ramped up in early 25. Talk to me a little bit about the last like 7 months, what you've been working on leading up to this, landing this role. I know you worked very closely with Ella and a few other of our mentors in the UK. Did you, I think you also did a lot of courses. You want to talk a little bit about like what you focused on most?
Yeah, of course. So the most important thing about me was to learn everything. I wanted to be able, to crush all the different question I could receive at the interviews. So, but also, in terms of having the confidence of myself, so going into that interview and knowing that I know basically 99% of everything. So I was able to answer the most of the questions. And then, because that was just one part, and the other part is, the behavioral part of me. So I was also working a lot of that, receiving especially lots of help from Ella, as you just mentioned. But the courses was the main part of why I also joined the academy, because I really wanted to, to improve myself in terms of the skills and the tool set that was necessary for the year.
Yeah, and were you more on like the financial modeling courses, or did you focus really more on the interview specific courses? So like the technicals around that, or was it both?
It was both, but mostly the technicals.
Yeah.
Definitely the technicals. Yeah.
That's interesting because did you do a lot of mock interviews? So I didn't see a lot of mock scores on your dashboard. So what gave you the confidence to go in? Like I guess, well, it sounds like there was more case oriented on your sense. Did you dive in at all to the consulting case interview course or the case you
I
did?
didn't actually, because my idea was to do it, but after I've been at the academy for like 2 months, I had all these different interviews at 4 different firms, so I didn't really feel that I had the time to also focus on that part. So it was just all the technicals and improving my skill set, and then having my real time cases at the engineers. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about just the networking. Yeah, so it sounds like you did get some good leads through the networking. How much had you scaled it up? Prior to academy, when you came in, did you leverage all the tools? Did you, do the kind of typical thing where you leverage some of the software that we have, or was it more, a little bit more nuanced and personalized since it's a smaller market?
Yeah, it's a smaller market, as you just said, so it's more personalized here in Denmark. I did lots of LinkedIn outreach, a bit of mail outreach as well, but especially LinkedIn outreach. So just try to like focus on some different firms that I found pretty interesting, and then especially also try to find some people that I have something in common with. So maybe had the same bachelor degree at CBS, or from the same town here in Denmark. So we had something in common, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and especially I learned from the academy that networking is everything.
And
So it's a great tool.
how were your conversions on that kind of more pinpointed, like specific LinkedIn outreach? Because typically we'll see anywhere from on the low end 15 to 20% in terms of connection requests to conversion. The highest I think I've ever heard is like 50%, uh, from somebody who is like very like pinpointed, only hitting like the exact people that make the most sense. So was it somewhere in there, like a 30, 40% connection?
Yes, actually it was. But again, I didn't reach out to 100 people. I didn't reach out to around 20. I had some conversations with 10 to 12, I think. So yeah, my rate was pretty good.
Conversions of calls, that's really high. So did those two other kind of interviews come out from those calls, or did you land any from them? It did. Okay.
Two of them, and then again, I have a long future ahead of me. So, I still have some great contacts, from this networking process, and also still, try to keep in touch with the networking contact I made.
So when you were down, you had the 4 processes. Were they all happening at the same time? Did you go through some, get to the final kind of round and didn't get the offer, or did you get like 2 offers and have to make a decision? How did it pan out at the end?
Yeah. So I had, the interviews at 4 companies during around 3 weeks. So it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I'm actually having an exchange semester here after the summer at the HEC in Paris. So 3 of the firms, they were like, "We really like you, and we want to have you to an interview when you are back from Paris again, after have been through the whole interview process." Um, so that was great. But again, I hope, to land a job now so I could do the job for 3 or 4 months before going on the exchange. And luckily for me, the final firm, PWC, was also, the largest firm I was interviewing at. So, and they had the capabilities to let me join the team now, and then be there for 3 to 4 months before I was going on the exchange semester.
That's amazing, man. Super congrats. It's very exciting. I guess in terms of the exchange semester, so you'll be able to stop for 3 or 4 months and then come right back and pick it up where you
Yep.
left.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
in terms of just like overall, I guess, looking back at the journey, looking back at everything you did, it's obviously happened pretty fast because you had that internship with the consulting firm and then boom, this is the second one. And this is kind of the one that potentially leads you through to a full-time role, correct? So talk a little bit about that in terms of like just the pathway. Like, are you enjoying it? I know you just started recently, but like, are you enjoying like what's your day-to-day like? I think would be interesting.
I love it actually. It's still the beginning, so everything is new. I enjoy everything. Being at the office, also at late because that's how it is. But it's really good. So at the moment, I work 3 days a week on average, and then I have 2 days, to do all of the different work I must do for my bachelor degree as well, because that's still pretty important to do well at school, right?
That's
And then I'm looking forward to work there around for 2 years more, I think, while I'm also finishing my master's degree afterwards. And then hopefully I will continue at a full-time offer with them afterwards.
That's great. That's super exciting. Congratulations. I guess just last question, looking back at like your journey so far. I mean, your young, I'll call it your young early career journey. Any advice you'd give to your younger self, kind of maybe when you were entering school or anything you would have done differently?
No, I think something I would always recommend also just to my friends at the moment is actually, the whole networking and get to know as many people as you can because, to know lots of people is just very important. It can help you along, just in school to know lots of friends who have a good social network, but also in your professional life. And it's so important to know the right people and know lots of them. It can really help you in many ways.
Yeah, and I'd say it's almost easier to network now when you have something than before. You'll get you spark people up, and it'll be easier because they'll know you're not necessarily looking for a referral, or you're looking to build a genuine relationship and just understands. So I would encourage you to keep going because in 3 or 4 years, if your network is much larger, it's going to make that next step potentially that much easier, and you'll have many options in front of you, which is always a good thing. Options are good.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate you sharing your story. Of course, please stay in touch, and of course, keep leveraging us as you go along.
I will. And thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it, Frederick. Bye.
I appreciate it. Bye.